Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Little Way Sunday School. So in today's Gospel, we hear that Peter and the disciples are in a boat on the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus is not with them. And then suddenly this terrible storm happens, and the disciples become very afraid. And then they see Jesus walking on the water coming towards them. And Peter, filled with courage, gets out of the boat and walks towards Jesus. But when Peter looks down, he begins to get frightened and begins to sink. But Jesus stretches out his hand and rescues him. Now, the wonderful thing about this story is Peter's courage. Peter had enough courage to get out of the boat, to do the impossible, to walk on water. And he was able to do this because his eyes were firmly fixed on Jesus. But when he stopped looking at Jesus, he began to sink. So in our lives, there's going to be many storms, and we may feel afraid or frightened or even that we're sinking. But we need to be like Peter. We need to have courage. Now, I'm not telling you to go and walk on water, but there's many things in our life we may be called to do that feel impossible to us. But if we focus on Jesus and we put our trust in him, we will be able to achieve the impossible. So guys, we're going to hear the Gospel read to us by Father Johnny Moore down in Ardra.
Padre's Corner.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking toward them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Let's listen to the beautiful story of Jesus walking on the water. He sent his friends away on the boat, and late in the night, when the storm got up on the boat, Jesus came walking across the water to meet with them. As he got near the boat, Peter saw him, his best friend, and Peter jumped out into the stormy water to walk towards Jesus. But Peter lost his confidence. Peter became frightened. And as he started to walk towards Jesus, he began to sink into the water, and he called out to Jesus, his friend. And Jesus reached out his hands and lifted him up out of the water and saved him. That is what Jesus wants to do for you and me as well. When we are in trouble, when we are afraid, when we are not sure what we're to do, we just call on his name. His hand will reach out and hold us and keep us safe, my friends.
Mission time.
So guys, it's very clear from today's Gospel that Jesus wants us to trust him. But why? Well, when we trust Jesus, we're giving him permission to come and help us in our lives. Now this is a message that Jesus repeats throughout the scriptures, but also more recently. In 1935, Jesus appeared to a nun in Poland, a nun called Sister Faustina. He asked her to paint this image, which we call the Divine Mercy, and underneath he asked her to put the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." That's how important this is to Jesus. Now, your mission this week is to say this small but powerful prayer of "Jesus, I trust in you." The best time of day to say it is at 3 p.m, which we call Divine Mercy Hour. Say the prayer and I'm sure you'll feel Jesus helping you in your day. Just don't try and walk on water.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Our worksheet is in the description box below. See you next week. God bless. Joseph, if we're going to work together in the Sunday school, you have to trust me.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, come on, let's do the trust test.
Fine. You better not drop me, alright?
1, 2.
Tea's ready, Enya.
4.
What?